Happy Friday, traders. It's 8:01 a.m. Chicago time on Friday, the 15th of November, 2019. This is episode number 1640. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. You got to bear with me today here. It looks like YouTube decided to change their entire interface, and it's pretty convoluted for setting up the stream and controlling it. So I've wasted a lot of time trying to figure that out this morning. they forced the change, and so now I got to deal with it. But I can see your chat still, and hopefully I'm nice and loud and clear, even though my voice is a little cranky this morning. This morning in the markets, the overall sentiment, as you probably guessed, is very bullish. We're looking at risk on this morning, and it's expected after yesterday's close, closing above 97 or trading above 97 and closing at 97. The Nasdaq's a leader this morning, up 0.5%, 44 points. Russell follows 8.2 points at 0.52%. Crude is at $57 on a December contract. The Dow 106 up, and the S&P is 10.5 points higher, 0.34%, followed by the DAX and the Euro stocks. The laggard this morning's gold falling below 1,470, trading 1,467.70. This morning, the bonds are off 11 ticks, and the 10 years are off, looks like one tick or half a tick. So that's where we stand this morning. Clearly, risk on. Again, happy Friday, and thanks for joining. In terms of the theme of this, the overall theme of what's the market theme here, the narrative is there's more optimism that the U.S. and China will reach a phase one trade deal, which is likely to include the tariff relief. And that's really the big piece. Yesterday, really big run up after that drop, and the market closed quite strong. This morning, it says U.S. and China will hold a call today about the trade deal. So look out for a tweet bomb sometime in the day today. This comes from Commerce Secretary Ross. This morning in the U.S., we did get import prices came in at negative 0.5 versus negative 0.2, negative 3 year on year versus negative 2.2. October advanced retail came in at 0.3 versus 0.2. In terms of what's ahead for today, really where we have some numbers coming. We have industrial production and so on, cap utilization, but overall, it's not. There's not much. To talk about. Industrial production cap utilization come out in about 10 minutes. Business inventories at 10 o'clock, expecting 0.1%, and that wraps up a pretty busy week. So hopefully a good one for you. So that's where we stand. Let's take a look at what we expected yesterday versus what we got in our review segment. Yesterday, the primary expectation is for the market to drift higher, then eventually test out the low to close somewhere in the middle. Secondary scenario is a push higher into that 93 quarter, a very key 93 quarter area for for resistance, and then for it to rotate down through the prior day's low and then to come back up. Yesterday, of course, was much more aggressive than that. Yesterday we kind of played everything. Like everything was on the table yesterday. 1, 2, and 3 scenarios. 1, 2, and 3 in play. We did push up to the point of control from the prior day at 93.50. We stalled out at 95.50 ahead of the prior day's close. Rotated down. We got that news. Pushed lower, but we never attacked the low, and then drift back up and then a nice trend up into the close. And I think, let me check the Convergent Head Trader channel. I think I wrote in there coming into the close. Here's what I wrote. I wrote pretty strong close. This was at 3:27 Central yesterday, 4:27 Eastern, just 15 minutes after the pit close. Pretty strong close, expecting continuation higher through the extended session in the S. Um, Another attack on 3100 likely, and likely push to 3108 into options expiration tomorrow, which is today. The expectation is we would push into 3108. The next measured move resistance is actually a double measured move resistance level. This is where we are right now. The overnight point of control is at 3107 in the S&Ps, and we do have options expiration today. So you can see that close really another neutral day up, and that close was really gunning for the 3100 and above, and we did get that overnight. Now I'm not a fortune teller. That's just me reading the market. So that's where we stand. Let's take a look at the overall order flow by looking at CT Bookmap here. From the open, this is the market pausing. This is the market opening again, Chicago time at 5, and then immediately going into buy mode. So as I eliminate yesterday's volume so we can get a heat map that's relevant here, we can see what's above and below, and the Century figures got a nice bid underneath it, and then above 31.14, 31.15 has a nice offer above there. 31.12 also has a nice offer up above there. The next key area measured move area above is 31.18 through 31.20 is the next big area above. So you can see the overnight high is right into a measured move area, and this was my target. 3108 was my target for the overnight session, which kind of overran a little bit. So the order flow, that's the big picture on full depth. Again, above 3110, 3112.50, 3115, below 3100 and 3097. I'm expecting a smaller range today. I'm expecting it to not be as busy in today's trade, and not expecting it to really push around quite a bit. So, but we're opening up in a relatively decent gap. And this is what the overnight session looked like. Pretty good volume, 230,000, and a pretty thin, but fairly concentrated, but pretty clear balance after we got the run up. So we ran up, and then we just sat. We've just been sitting sideways after touching 31.15, 31.11.50. So that's how things are shaping up. Let me just scroll back a minute. This move here at 20 hours. So this was this push up after the reopen was White House advisor Kudlow saying they're getting close to a trade deal with China, but not there yet. Now, this probably is the 50th time he has probably said this. Anyway, do expect a news bomb today. A very, very high probability of a news bomb today. I can see it coming. So just be careful. Make sure you have a news, or your news feed is on if you have it. If you're a Convergent member, you should have a professional news feed already. So let's take a look at what we're expecting for today, except today is like Friday, right? So take a moment, find the like button on YouTube and click on it, please. Today's like Friday. The second thing I wanted to kind of remind everyone about is I've run a petition. I've been talking about this all week. We're approaching 1,000 signatures. Let's get up there. If you have not signed it yet, please do. You can go to ft71.com/MCL, MCL in caps, and sign the petition. I'm going to print out the those who have signed it. I'm going to print out a list and walk it on over to set up a meeting and walk it on over to the CME group, which is about a block away from my office. So that's what I'm looking to do. Please take a time. I know people kind of put things off. Please take a moment. It's a very small URL, ft71.com/MCL, all caps. Just sign it. Takes maybe 10 seconds, okay? So let's take a look at what we're expecting for today. New all-time high territory on a gap, so you are guessing it correctly. There's about a 53% probability historically of a responsive selling today. Hard to say, of course, but this is how things are kind of shaping up here. We're opening up against the point of control. I'm expecting an open auction that is likely to be somewhat responsive, but I'm looking for an impulse up to push that high, 31.1150, potentially into the next key area, 1115, 31.11, 31.15, and then looking for it to come back to the point of control and then partially fill the gap to finish sideways. This is barring news. If we throw news in here, in the works here, I can't predict that. Secondary, it's an open auction. It's an open test drive lower, drives right back into 30.98.97, pushes back into 30.93.91.50, which is the current MC point of control, and then comes back out and then holds sideways. This is basically what we've often done on new all-time highs, is to push a little bit, test higher, see if there's any interest to go up, and then it becomes fairly responsive as traders take off some risk by selling. Because we're at new all-time highs in a gap, you have a much higher probability of an open drive of some sort, an aggressive drive. In this case, I'm looking for a pushback, impulse up, open test down, drive up, consolidate at the high, get up to 115 and push into 18, which is the next key area up. Let me double check that. Yeah, 1819, that line, this band right here would become a key target. So that's scenario 3 for today. I'm going to sit out the first 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not going to wait for 20 minutes. I'm going to sit out for the first 5 to 10 minutes, watch the opening range set up, and then trade off of that. The expectation is if it pushes one way or another, it's likely to move relatively quickly. But I do expect a relatively timid day, timid trade, and some grinding today. It's just, that's the expectation. Again, every time we've made an all-time high, we've tended to revert back. Yesterday closed strong, so it's a special situation. If it had closed weak and gapped up, there's a much higher probability of it to be responsive and to fade the gap. And actually that was verified by someone for me this week statistically. So it's nice to see that. But this is what we're looking for. One last word, not that I want to turn this into a trade wisdom session or anything like that. This question of doubt, self-doubt. So, I was having a discussion yesterday with someone who is just constantly talking about, a very, very seasoned trader, a close friend of mine, and he was talking about this constant self-doubt and how to get rid of it. And I'm going to tell you that if you're performing well, and the goal here is not to have you be a Renaissance Capital or anything like that, some huge fund or some elite trader. We're not trying to be elite trader. We're just looking to be traders that are very consistent and executing on our edge very well. Not if if I was in surgery, I'm not looking to be the best surgeon in the world. I want to be the best that I can be. I don't really care about what someone else is doing. They're going to drive me, but the point is self-doubt and the idea that this person, even though they've been trading for as long as I have, 19 years, they're sitting here going, how do I get rid of this constant self-doubt? If there is no self-doubt, now it's not, it's not every day, because in general, the things that we do day in, day out are relatively boring, really. Um, and it's a repetitious process. It's a plan. You execute on your edge. The execution should be thoughtless, mindless. And they're wondering how do you doubt if you can continue doing this? And the thing is, you're not changing or progressing unless you're expanding a boundary. And expanding a boundary for humans, animals, for anybody, expanding a boundary is always uncomfortable, and that discomfort results in self-doubt. And so if you're not doing enough, if you're not challenging yourself, then you're not experiencing self-doubt, even when you're performing at a stage 4 a level of competence, meaning you are kind of naturally doing this. There's going to be self-doubt all the time. The market's constantly evolving. It's not A plus B equals C, never will be. It's constantly changing. So let the self-doubt be aware of it. Bring your focus back to your process. It is your process, kind of like in the military. It's your process. It's your training that keeps you in line. And self-doubt is just a constant part of that. Do not fall for the idea that, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. Oh man, I'm terrible. Listen to your self-talk. Be aware of your emotions. Don't try to shut down your emotions. Just be aware of them. Have self-doubt. Self-doubt means you're doing something unusual, or you're doing something, you're expanding your knowledge or skill set. And if you're not expanding your knowledge or skill set, you know, like a guru once told me, why are you here? The entire purpose of you being here is to evolve and learn and be uncomfortable and to grow. Growth is discomfort. Discomfort is self-doubt. Okay? Good luck.